And welcome to a fresh hour of CBS Sports HQ. The cavalcade of stars continue alongside former Ohio State running back Beanie Wells and former Penn State tight end Adam Brenneman. I am Hakeem Dermish. Any given Saturday, third-ranked and undefeated Texas A&M hosting 3-win South Carolina. And this game was bonkers. Texas A&M finalizing a deal that will make Mike Elko one of the 5 highest-paid coaches in college football. Shane Beamer on the hot seat. Why? Because of what happened in this game. Pick it up, end of the first half. Aggies down 20-3 in the red zone. Marcel Reed underthrows Mario Craver, and it's intercepted by Vakari Swain. Reed, one of 3 turnovers in the first half. 1 fumble, 2 interceptions. Next play, Lenoris Sellers finds Nick Harbor. And Beanie, he's gone for an 80-yard touchdown.
I mean, look at the guy just roll. A big fella that can run fast and outrun an entire defense. That is exceptional right there. You love to have players like that any day of the week.
Nick Harbor getting in for 6. And then look at this. State Trooper barging through South Carolina players. That State Trooper has been fired from his game day duties. South Carolina up 30-3 at halftime. What in the name is going on in College Station? Up out of the Wildcat, tries to pitch it, but can't hold on. It's a live ball, and the Gamecocks recover. Mike Elko, bleep me. Golly gee willikers. South Carolina just needs to get into field goal. Not going to lie. What a win for Mike Elko and the Aggies. Since 2004, teams down 27 points in SEC games were 0-286. Now, 1-286 after the Texas A&M Aggies outscore the South Carolina Gamecocks 28-0 in the second half. The Aggies' largest comeback win in school history. Shane Beamer said, quote, "makes me want to puke." Mike Elko had this to say about what he said at halftime.
What did you say at halftime?
Yeah, honestly, not much. Like all we talked about was, we have an identity of who we are. If we play to our identity, we're a good football team. If we start thinking that's not who we are, if we start thinking we're something else, if we start trying to play a different way, that's not us. That's not who we are. And we're a blue-collar team. We're a physical team. We're a team that has to control the line of scrimmage. We're a team that has to play with a lot of energy, and we just weren't doing any of those things in the first half. And I think the vibes were good. Given all things considered, the vibes were good. The kids believed we were going to come out and win that game in the second half. Whether they really did or not, that was the energy in the locker room. And then obviously, we made some plays early in the second half to get the momentum going, to get the crowd going, and from that point it just kind of spiraled in our favor. There's not a lot of teams that have a culture and a core that will just keep going. And again, even the 80-yard pass before, it just was one after another in the first half, and to not blink and really go into the locker room and still come out in the second half and compete, and then ultimately to score 28 straight points and win a football game that ends with a 99-yard drive. There's just not a lot of words for that. It's really impressive.
What a win for Texas A&M. Massive to remain undefeated. Largest comeback win in school history. Down by 27 at halftime. Off to a 10-0 start, their best start to a season since 1992. South Carolina has lost 5 in a row, and they lost the second half because Texas A&M put the pedal to the metal, outgaining the Gamecocks 371-132 in yards, and Texas A&M remains undefeated after a massive second half comeback. All right, back here with Beanie Wells, Adam Brenneman. Mike Elko did not want to say what he said at halftime. I'll give you a preview of what he said. Men, what the bleep are we doing? This is South Carolina. They're a 3-win team. This team in the second half, this was a different team. Beanie, we saw Marcel Reed throw for 3 touchdowns. It was like they went into a phone booth, changed uniform, and said, "We're Texas A&M. We're undefeated. We're not going to let us be called fraudulent."
Clark Kent had to change into his Superman uniform, and Marcel Reed went out and performed like it. This was a crazy game. I've never seen a game to where a team came back by this margin in this big of a moment, and the game just looked so completely different and so lopsided in two different phases. I mean, Mike Elko talked about it. They are a blue-collar team that needs to find ways to win in big moments, and they certainly found a way to win in the big moment, but I beg to differ. Do we have more answers than questions with this Texas A&M football team? Are they indeed the number 3 or number 2 team in the country, or do we see them kind of drop a little bit more based off what we saw them do today, especially in that first half of this game?
Yeah, Texas A&M, to me, showed championship DNA in this game. When you are on the road, you're down 27 points at halftime, and you find a way to win the game. Listen, whatever happens the rest of the season for Texas A&M, they will look back in their mind and say, we were down by 27 points on the road and found a way to win this game. It helps everything, and the belief it gives the team in their quarterback, Marcel Reed, when he can make plays like that, still turn the ball over 4 times and find a way to win the game. There's question marks without a doubt, Beanie, but there's a lot to be proud of if you're Texas A&M. And Hakeem, I got to tell you, that was a pretty good halftime speech you gave us there.
I mean, right? Like, that's it. I watch a lot of SEC football. I watch a lot of college football. This is what we do for a living. You know what those coaches are saying.
Oh, no question.
You know when you have a goose egg in the loss column, and if a loss, look, it doesn't mean if they lose this game, they're out of the college football playoff. But then questions start to come in, how good is this team? Because people were already saying that Texas A&M was fraudulent, that their 1-point win over Notre Dame could have went either way, that their defense wasn't as good as everybody made it to be. Like, this is a really quality team, and to Adam's point, this shows championship DNA, because just 1 week ago, we saw Indiana have to rally against Penn State in that drive that they went all the way down the field and scored to get a huge win, and we didn't knock them, and they're still second in the country.
The thing that I have the biggest question mark is they were at home, and this happened in the first half. It's not often you have a meltdown like they did today at home, a home environment where you got your fans behind you, and you have the momentum going into the season. Now, obviously, last week we saw it happen versus Penn State and Indiana. They were on the road in Happy Valley, a tough environment. So for them to have this meltdown, to me, it begs to differ in terms of more questions, because we have not seen a defense put the pressure in Marcel Reed's face like that today. So maybe they laid out a blueprint for a way to go and knock Texas A&M off their pedestal right now. And I know they came back and it was amazing the way that they did it, but I think they laid out too many answers to questions for this football team, especially when they talk about going and trying to win an SEC title. They can't do it and play the way that they played in this first half.
The biggest change from the first to second half for Texas A&M, Mike Elko said it, was the physicality on the line of scrimmage. Texas A&M in the first half of this game ran for -1 yards a carry. In the second half, we're averaged 4 yards a pop on the ground, which still isn't great, but it puts you in positions where your quarterback, Marcel Reed, can thrive and make throws down the field because you're not in 3rd down and long, 4th down and long. You're in favorable position. So that line of scrimmage battle, Texas A&M won in the second half, and if I had to guess, that was probably Mike Elko's message. Is that I can live with mistakes and turnovers. I can't live with getting pushed off the line of scrimmage and getting beaten up on the defensive and offensive lines.
Well, there's always two sides to this, right? There's a historic comeback and a historic choke job. And we saw Shane Beamer at halftime riling up the crowd, right, in College Station. He's throwing his hands up. He's like, let's go. He's trying to play the role of villain. And then here it is. Look at this, right? Like the fans there in College Station, they're going bonkers, right? They love this. The 12th man is probably eating this up, saying, just wait, coach.
Right.
We're coming for you in a second. Like, this is when you fuel the fire. This is like when you send things to, like, Dan Lanning. And he uses that. He goes, we're going to use this as fuel. And you know how much that environment there at that stadium fuels that team.
Oh, no question. And it showed today. I mean, that stadium was loud. The fans got into it. The players got into it. They all fed off of it. But if I'm looking at South Carolina, I'm not understanding how do you not put the pedal to the gas on the offensive end when you have this team essentially on the ropes. You're up by 27 points, and you come out in the second half and lay an egg, can't move the ball, can't get some of the same pressures, and you're sitting back in a zone defense in which we saw Marcel Reed dissect to a T.
Yep.
He was a surgeon out there dissecting that zone defense. I can't figure out why they stopped pressuring him, getting the pressure in his face, throwing the different defensive variations at him. This was an epic meltdown, in my opinion, by South Carolina.
And the most disheartening part for South Carolina is they had a chance to win this game at the very end. They got to stop, forced a turnover, had the ball down 1 point to go win the game, and an epic collapse really by the offensive line for South Carolina. Gave up 2 critical sacks on that final drive. Lenore Sellers was then backed up behind the sticks and couldn't make plays down the field. So you look at everything that happened in the second half, still a chance to win the game, but didn't have the fight and the overcoming of adversity to go actually punch it in at the very end. That's got to be the most disheartening part.
Do we keep Texas A&M at number 3 in the college football playoff rankings come Tuesday?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm most certainly
no
think
movement.
So.
It's just going to be right there.
No
There's going to be a dash next to their name.
Indiana 2, Texas A&M 3. Yep.
Okay. All right. Texas A&M still controls their own destiny to reach their first SEC championship game in school history. And with the win, no one can clinch a spot in the SEC title game until the final weekend of games, November 28th, November 29th. We talked about Marcel Reed and the difference from the first half to the second half. Had us in the first half, not going to lie. 6 of 19, 141 yards. 2 interceptions, had the fumble as well. And in the second half, 16 of 20, 298, 3 touchdowns, no picks. And Texas A&M pulls off a historic comeback, their largest comeback win in school history, down by 27. They rally to win at 31-30 and remain undefeated. Coming up, Pitt head coach Pat